Mr. Tom Albright with AVNation with an AVNation special celebrating International Women's Day the entire month of March. And with me today is Kristin Bidwell from Kavanaugh Tachi. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Tim.
So what we're doing is we're giving interviewing folks and interviewing women about their experience in the industry. March 8th is International Women's Day, and I had a choice. I can either publish all of these on one day, which sounds kind of silly, or let's take the entire month and celebrate the women in our industry, and I'd rather do that. So the entire month of March we're doing this. So let's kind of sit for a second here and kind of take a step back. How did Kristin Bidwell get into the AV industry?
Sure. Like many of us in the AV industry, I've always had a love for music. At a young age, I learned piano, guitar, voice, started performing in fourth grade. Later on, when I was in high school, and when I wasn't on the stage, I was in the back of the room assisting the live sound engineer and learning about audio. And I was fascinated about how quickly you can change the emotions of a listener and performer by tweaking the reinforced sound. I knew then that I wanted to pursue a career in audio. I attended Berklee College of Music and earned my dual bachelor's in music production engineering and music business while at Berklee, among other courses in the music production degree. I took advanced audio tech courses with Alex Case and acoustics courses with Eric Reuter and Tony Hoover. And Tony had mentioned that he was an acoustician at a consulting firm named Kavanaugh Tachi. At that time, I was focused on becoming a mix engineer, but the idea of being a consultant was of high interest to me. Also, after college, I moved to New York, like many of us, and was working in the recording industry. And as Napster crept in more and more, that became a dwindling career objective. And in 2007, I went to the AES convention in New York, and Tony was giving an acoustics class and mentioned that he was leaving Kavanaugh Tachi and moving to the West Coast to join McKay Conant Brook, now McKay Conant Hoover. At the lecture, I approached him and asked if I could speak to him about consulting. We met in the hallway, and by the end of our conversation, he decided that I would join him on the West Coast at McKay Conant Hoover. So that was the beginning of my career. I worked directly under a guy named Randy Willis, who's well known in the AV industry. And I couldn't have asked for a better mentor and friend. I think when you're entering this industry, it is extremely important that you have someone like Randy that kind of takes you under your wing and educates you on not just design, but or in my case, design, but just how to function with clients, how to work in the industry, and follow your career path that you've chosen. And then after spending the early part of my career on the West Coast, I've now found myself back in New England. And it's interesting how things work out and have developed, because now I'm back at Kavanaugh Tachi, which is great.
Talk for a second about the importance of having a mentor. And this goes beyond gender, this goes beyond anything else, but someone who can kind of show you the ropes and show you, whether that's design, or whether that's mixing, or control programming, or whatever it is. How important is it to have somebody to show you around and mentor you, especially in your early years?
Sure. I think it's extremely important. I actually think that when you're searching for your first job, that should be kind of at the top of your list on what you look for in a firm. So not just a firm that you've heard good things about, but it's important to ask, who will you be working under or with? What team will you be on? And it's good to, if you don't know who that person is, to research them, see what they're doing in the industry, see what their knowledge base is, if they're certified, and kind of their track record. And it doesn't hurt to ask around, because it's who you will be working with day in and day out. And the AV industry is small, so if you mention a name that's been around for a while, people probably know who they are. But I think it's extremely important for growth. There is so much to learn in this industry, regardless of which avenue you take and having a solid mentor in the beginning can really help you along your career.
Absolutely. Let's talk for a second about your experience in the AV industry and your experience, along the way as a woman coming through. In a lot of times, in a lot of areas, you are, either the only woman or one of very few women. So what has been your experience? What sort of challenges have you faced, and how did you overcome those?
Sure. Well, I've always kind of been in a male-dominated industry. I've worked a lot in the music industry as well, but as far as the AV industry itself, I've worked as a live sound engineer, obviously a mix engineer, and an audiovisual consultant. This kind of question is a little bit tough to answer, just because I've always really been able to get along well with everyone, or at least 99% of the time, both male and female. And I've just had the fortunate experience to work with some very supportive and wonderful firms and people. I guess an obstacle for me, perhaps when I was starting out, I was very young in the industry. I was in my mid-20s and I looked really young. So I don't know how serious I was taken in the beginning. Here comes this girl that just got out of college and she's trying to tell me how to design a system. So I suppose it was kind of tricky to prove myself. And I don't know if ever everyone goes through that. But I remember, my first Infocom trip, I would walk up to some of the booths and the reps, wouldn't look twice at me because I didn't look like maybe the average AV guy. But I overcame this by just, trying to schmooze and make my presence known. I handed out a ton of business cards that year, like hundreds of them, with McKay, Cohen & Hoover and consultant listed on them, which helped, I guess, my clout in the industry a little bit. And I also, going back to Randy, that first year, he really took me around to booths and events and introduced me as a consultant. And I think also, like, I've worked really hard to produce well-designed systems and construction-grade documents, and to really try to do right by my clients as an independent consultant. So, the particular obstacle of maybe not being taken so seriously soon diminished. I guess I've also run across, and not often at all, but once in a while, there's bias. Someone will rather, and take a guy more seriously, or perhaps look at the guy to hire before the woman. I not often, and I, it's been rare. This industry has actually been very good to me. But once in a while, I think that there's some bias on a woman versus a guy on how well you can do your job, or, if this is the right person for the job, type of a thing. And I've always kind of seen that as, that's kind of their issue. It's not my issue. I don't feed into that. I know if somebody comes at me with any kind of that attitude, that they just, that's on them. And I've never really let it drag me down. I kind of just ignore that type of thing. So yeah, but it's really hard to think of too many obstacles, because I've just had so much support. The firms I've been with have been incredibly supportive of me, and usually I'm, if not the only one, I'm very few of the women consultant crowd. So but everyone's been very supportive.
That's incredible. That's really awesome. We talk for a second about the importance of your clients. You mentioned the fact that having your clients trust, especially after the job is done, you've done an incredible job. They're happy with the work. Talk for a second about that support system and having your clients either going to bat for you, or at least offering some sort of support, testimony, or things of that nature as you're going to the next one. Right? How important is that?
I think it's extremely important. Because as much as we love this and we do it because it's our passion, consulting is also a business. So you want to please the clients. You want to have them calling you back. but just having their support in that way, I think just shows that you have done a good job, that ignoring whatever, any negative things that come at you as a woman in this industry, if the client's calling you back, well, you've won, right?
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, I think it's just proof is in the pudding, when your clients start calling you back for more projects, or put you on the teams, that it's just proof that you're doing well.
Awesome. Take a look at, and I would say that you're probably, you're younger than me, so you're not anywhere near retirement age. But get there for me for a second mentally, and look back on your career, look back at the industry. What do you hope, or what do you want to see change before you retire?
Sure. Well, I've been on the Avixa Women's Council for a while, and it has been so nice to see women in different parts of the industry joining our group, and that group alone has grown kind of, I don't want to say exponentially, but it has grown a lot over the past year. And it's wonderful to see women in so many different areas in our industry, and that it is growing. And I know that that's just a club. It's definitely not representative of all of the women, but it is inspiring to see. It's definitely inspiring to see the growth of women in the industry. I think we need more. And I want to see that expand. I want to see more women taking on leadership roles, more women as principals, more women as owners. I think it would be just really great for our industry to kind of be a little bit more diversified.
All right. Very good. Last question here. You mentioned the Women of Ixus Council. One of the things that has come up is the regionalization of that, and a number of folks have pointed to that regionalization as some of their growth. This growth. I'm not sure if it's a strategy, but it is certainly what's added to that. How important is it, not just for that particular group, but just AV in general, to have that kind of local support system, that local group of cohorts that you can kind of go through this career with?
I think it's extremely important. And, earlier on in my career, I didn't really realize how important it could be, because I had male mentors supporting me through the early years. But it is just wonderful to know that there are other women going through perhaps some of the obstacles that I've gone through, and having kind of a safe net to be able to discuss those, and discuss how do you overcome this. And I think I mean, I am so grateful for the Women's Council. It's just been super supportive. If you are, people are going through job loss, especially this past year has been really tough on a lot of people. We come together about once a month and just talk about, okay, well, who's hiring, and what are other women trying to, what are you trying to accomplish in your career, and who in this group can help you get there. And it's just such a it's a special group of women. And I'm just I think it's extremely wonderful, and I encourage any women in the industry to join, or at least come and sit in on a meeting and see kind of what we're about.
Absolutely. Before I let you go, I would be remiss to ask you what is your local chapter of the Avixa Women's Council?
I have been I'm in the Boston area.
Okay.
So
the Boston chapter. Very cool.
Yep.
Okay. Kristin Bidwell, thank you so much. How do people get a hold of you or Kavanaugh Tachi?
Sure. Well, you can go to kavanaughtachi.com, or you can email me directly. I will hand that out. It's kbidwell@kavtachi.com.
All right. Very good. Kristin Bidwell from Kevin Tachi. Thank you so much. For us, for AVNation, go by our website, avnation.tv. That's avnation.tv. You will find this interview and a host of others just like it. Also, check out our 2 weekly news programs. One looks at the commercial side. The other looks at the residential side of the industry. All that and more at avnation.tv. That's avnation.tv.